In this video we're going to take a look at some more issues you may encounter while using SRS. The first issue we're going to cover is something that looks similar to this. So when moving around you'll see that you have these black shadows on your landscapes, on your bigger meshes. And these shadows, they don't have to be totally black, they could even appear this slightly grayed out. Now the issue that you can see here is happening because of the outlines. By default, the outlines have settings that work well on character size meshes. But for landscapes or objects that are way bigger than your average character, these settings may just not work out that well. To fix this, you simply have to go into your SRS actor and go to your outlines, and under your outline types, navigate to advanced for your outline types that are affecting your landscape, and set the minimum depth difference to something way bigger. For example, if we set it to 300, you'll see that this effect is way smaller. Let's set the thickness to a bit higher so we can see it again. And now we have outlines on our landscape, and the shadow that we were seeing is way smaller, but we can decrease it even further by simply increasing this parameter even more. Of course, if you don't want outlines on your landscape, one thing you can always do is simply set the stencil mask low for your outline types to 1. And keep the custom depth stencil mask value on your landscape and on your cubes at 0, so they aren't affected by your outline types. Now this next issue I'm unfortunately not able to replicate, but it looks somewhat like this. If you encounter a problem like this, go to your project settings and under all settings search for gbuffer, and here you'll find the setting gbuffer format. Make sure this is set to default and not to high precision normals. Another issue you may encounter is your shadows looking something like this. So you've got the edges really all blurred out, all noisy, and even if you modify the shadow size, which usually helps with issues like this, it just doesn't fully go away. The reason for this is often that your skylight is unfortunately too bright for the shadows to be calculated correctly. So simply dimming the intensity of your skylight will help, and depending on your scene and how much you cel-shade, you may even consider just getting rid of your skylight, as on fully cel-shaded scenes it really doesn't contribute a lot to the cel shading. Now the last issue we're going to cover is something that only happens when you're on UE4 and you're using Mac devices. You may find that when you're using the master material of SRS you get incredible performance issues. This is because the master material on UE4 has tessellation enabled. On UE5 tessellation has been removed, so it isn't enabled anymore, and therefore it isn't an issue anymore. But on UE4 tessellation is enabled, and tessellation is not fully supported on Mac devices. You can fix this issue by navigating to Stylized rendering system, materials, master, and opening the master material. And then on the details panel, search for tessellation and simply disable tessellation.